this is really our opportunity just to kind of share with you all of y'all to make you understand what we're about as an organization, how we can support you in every way, shape, or form, because we know that you're all passionate about this issue. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here today. And just we want to support you and to help make everything as smooth as possible for you. We're here to simplify this, to help remove any obstacles that might be standing in the way to really making the biggest impact in your school community. So before we dive in, I have a brief video to share with everyone. Maybe you've all seen some of this already. I'm going to go ahead and play this.
About some of the technology and the computers that people color on this slide, the less gray matter.
The notification on your phone, what color is that? Red. Yes.
And here are the updated parental controls and settings.
Probably kick me up, maybe. This is what we aim to do. We want to able to just empower the change to happen. We know that it's one parent really can't do this alone. We know that we need to do work together as a community. It can feel impossible. This is billions and billions of dollars are being poured into this to get technology into the hands of our kids from the moment they can start walking. There's a lot that can seem impossible, but with each other, with the support of one another, we can do this. And we've seen the results. We've seen it within the student presentations that we do. We see it when we are engaging with family leads or with school communities and different back to school events or our presentations as well. We see the change happening. There's a reason why we are successful with what we do. And our mission is just very, very simple. We want to help create communities to help families engage with technology in a way that's healthy, that's intentional, and it's respectful of our innate human dignity. And there's so much, again, that's just going against that to help our kids get hooked onto these devices as soon as possible. We want to make sure we can do whatever we can to help and support you guys and the communities that we're a part of. And we do this through our 4 norms, prioritizing your family values. And we've seen this too. We go to any restaurant, we go to anywhere, we see families, and maybe that's been us a couple of times in our lives too, where we're just on these devices, all sucked into these different things, really not really communicating with each other and not communicating with how we're supposed to interact with one another. That's why we strongly recommend delaying smartphones to at least high school, delaying social media to at least 16, and having a phone-free in school day to give back to our kids, to allow them to grow and develop in the way they ought to. So a little bit, I don't want to go too deep in this because we have actually one of the founders, Brian Kuzma, is joining us on this meeting today. So I want Brian knows this better than anyone else because he's the one that started it. So Brian, if you don't mind hopping in and talking about maybe the history and any encouraging words you may have.
Sure. Thank you, Dean. Yeah, my name is Brian Kuzma, and me and my wife Jennifer started Smart Families 3 years ago. We started it at our school because we were very concerned about our children who are now in seventh grade and fourth grade or fifth grade, and just wanted to get ahead of it. We kind of saw what was going on in the middle school, and we were like, okay, we want a little something different for our kids. And we organized all the parents at our school and basically put together a grade by grade attack plan at our school to implement a pledge at our school. We brought in a bunch of speakers, gave a bunch of neuroscience presentations, and basically did pretty well. We got over half the school to sign the pledge in our first year. And um, that's when we realized, man, this can be a lot of work. And there's nobody at these schools whose job it is to understand how technology is impacting our kids' brains. It's not, everyone's already got a job, like, and that this is not a primary focus of anyone. And so we realized there is a great role for to start up an organization whose job is to do exclusively that. And so we created Smart Families. This will be our third year, so I guess it was 2 years ago, and we're up to 10 full-time staff, and I think we're the world's largest organization in terms of organizing and pushing back against manipulative technology. For me and my wife personally, like, it actually, like, there was a real moment where we were like, this is great for us and our kids, but it was like, who are my kids going to get married to at the end of the day? Like we need more and more people that have a different perspective on what it means even to be human at the end of the day. And I think that that's what we're like really challenging people to grapple with, and this is why it works so well um, for, through all these private Christian schools, where it's like we can create these small communities where we already have a lot of values that are aligned, and it's naturally an affront to our view of our inherent God-given dignity when we see the ways that technology is designed to manipulate us. So it's like it's one of those things. Like you can just see it in the children now, like that they've had our program for 2 or 3 years. That it's a lot of you've unmasked the technology in terms of like like there's a reason why you're addicted to this thing, and there's a reason why you're responding this way. It's a stimulus response. It's not like a personal failure on your part if you like are drawn to the phone or can't put the phone down, or other kinds of technology as well. So it's just once they kind of understand that, and we demystify technology, like that's that's like the goal for everything that we do for the kids. And then obviously like it matters to the whole community at the end of the day. And so I like to say your job as a lead parent, I've been in your seat before, I've done it. And so I understand all of the everything that you're going to come across, that you're going to have people that come up to you and they're like, I'll say you'll show up and there'll be a third of the people who are like, I am so glad that you're here. I didn't know what I was going to do. And like, I'm glad that you're doing this and organizing it, and it will warm your heart and it will empower you. And you will get, nobody's going to come up to your face and say like, you're wrong, my kid needs all of this stuff. And like, you're not going to get any pushback. It's just a question of like, how do you get that third and spread it to 2/3 or 100% of your school to get everyone on board. And just know that you are in the right on this issue. There's nothing there that a child does not need any of this technology. They just don't need it. It's inappropriate, and particularly at this point in their development, where they can cause, permanent damage to how their neural connections happen in their brain. So I like to say that, like, when you guys start up these as lead parents and you form this kind of um, conglomeration within your community, this leadership community, I like to compare it to the PTO, which I think is like the economic engine of the school. And I like think of these smart families communities as the soul of the school. And so I want that soul of these schools to take over and be leading the culture. We don't want kind of the lowest common denominator setting the culture for our schools, particularly. All of these private Christian schools that we're involved in. So I will say that your best luck for like finding advocates and passionate advocates as you try to reach out, and Dean will give you lots of advice. I find the people that go to church are usually 90% of them are like 100% on board. So like that's a great place to start if you're kind of looking to build out your team. And I think it's great to build out a team of people to help you and support each other and get together. So but we're here, like Smart Families is here. You have an implementation coordinator. Our job is to make this happen in your community as easily as possible. It is not on you as a lead parent to like go out and do all of this change at your school. It's your job to, work with the implementation coordinator, work with the administration, be a public face, but you're not doing this alone. Like, this is the whole reason that we exist. Lean heavily on your implementation coordinators. They've got history of doing this in dozens of other schools. So like they've got tons of ideas for how we can do it. And it's like, that's why we are developing. That's why Smart Families exist. We exist so that schools like yours can adopt those four norms and really look different. Like our schools should look different. If you can't tell that you're in a Christian school by the way people are living, like they're failing as a school. So like our job is to empower you so that you can enact all of this like real world change at the end of the day for families. So I'll be quiet now. That's my message. Just know, like, it's very fulfilling, like going out, and you will be shocked at how much this is weighing on everyone's minds at every person in your school. And I'll say this now at St. Vincent's, when we went to speak at the back to school night, like the middle school, we spoke at the middle school. The majority of the middle schoolers at St. Vincent's do not have smartphones. It used to be like 99% of the kids had smartphones. And the majority do not now, which is a big step up. And then when we talk to like fifth grade and lower, it's just kind of like automatic at this point, which is exactly what we're trying to achieve by investing in these schools. That it's like, just don't blow it. Like we're just telling people, like, don't, like, we know that this is the plan at this school. And as long as they know these priorities and or know what's going to happen, the kids are on board. So, and I know it sounds a lot like it's about pledge sometimes, but it's really not. When you start talking about your kids and what they're going to hear, it gets really exciting because you get on summer vacation and your kids get to look around and see what other kids and families are doing, and they're like, oh my god, like I'm worried about these other families and what they're doing. So it's funny to see how the kids really internalize it and appreciate it, because they do not like to be manipulated this way. And so there's a sense of injustice that our children probably feel better than we do. And so they actually respond really well to everything that we're doing. So anyway, I bless you guys. I really appreciate everything you guys are doing. And like I said, lean heavily on our implementation coordinators. This is their job. They're here to help you, turn your school into the school that you want it to be. So thank you.
You can do this. We've seen it happen. As Brian said, just like we see the change, especially when we start talking with the students during the student presentations too. Like, it's not just the parents that are changing and doing things. We want the kids to be on board too, to help parents tackle that issue of peer pressure, right? When we go into these communities, year one, yeah, there's kids screaming with joy when they see an icon of Snapchat. By year two, they're really like hesitant to even admit they're on social media. By year three, we've asked them, like, give me 2 words to describe, social media, and they'll say time suck. And there's times where after like our student presentations, the teachers or parents will email us and say, hey, after your presentation, I heard a bunch of our kids just saying, like, how can we figure out together, how can we limit our screen time? This is stuff that is concrete. We've seen the changes already happening, and we're so excited. And as Brian said, we're here to help you guys. This is our full-time job. We're going to make this super easy with you guys. You have questions, you have ideas. We are here to walk by your side to make this very, very possible. So just a little brief, again, Hillary mentioned this at the morning one. This is just what we do at each and every school. This isn't your job or anything. All these things are put on by us, and we'll get into more of your roles. But I want to make sure you guys all understand what this program entails and what to expect from us in terms of how we are engaging with your school community, either through the education components or just the types of information that we're sending year after year. We are a 3-year program. We know it's going to take time to make that change in communities. That's why we're there for multiple years. Our first year is on neuroscience, and we go into executive function with year 2. And then by year 3, we're talking about digital literacy. Each of these years, we have 5 key components. We're educating the teachers, like in-service trainings. We have parent presentations, so we'll bring out a keynote speaker. We have a family presentation. That might be a family code event or our family algorithm, ways for the whole family to kind of disengage from tech to really focus on each other. And then we each school will get 2 student presentations that we'll do throughout the year. And so what those kind of all the different topics of each presentation go in correspondence with each year's theme. But that's something that we do at each and every school. This isn't to overwhelm you guys. This is our responsibility at Smart Families. And this is kind of, if you look on the right, this is kind of our impact. And, to see that really starting off at St. Vincent de Paul and growing for our first 18 schools that we piloted the program in Houston to 43 schools and now just shy of 120. We're all over the place now, and we are going to continue to grow because this issue is very, very important for parents everywhere to help tackle and to help support as they try to navigate these issues, because parents are very, very concerned. Now let's get into more of your role. What is we're asking you guys to do as family leads? How are you going to navigate this in your school community? And it really comes down to just these kind of components. And I'll talk about, we're going to go break down each one of these things just to help you guys to kind of go through it. So key point number 1 is to sign the pledge. So if you haven't, that's a big part of what we want to do. And I'll talk a little bit more about the pledge, what to expect from it. But this is the biggest impact that we can have at the community. The more that we can just have parents supporting one another. We know as your kids get older, that peer pressure is just going to get very, very intense. And it's when you feel, even you might have the best intentions going into 7th grade, if you feel like you're the only one and everyone else around you is having these smartphones and your kids seeing these things and they're coming home saying, I feel left out, it's very hard to stand that conviction by yourself. And so that's why we have the pledge, to support one another as your parents, as families, their kids get older, just to say, we're not going to do this here. We're going to wait. We're going to let our kids grow as they ought to. And that's why it's important not only just to sign the pledge, but also to encourage others to sign the pledge as well. And that would be your next responsibility, to kind of help bolster that. Because it's one thing if it comes from me as a third party. And I'll say, when we walk into a school in year 1, it honestly is very interesting because no one knows who we are. We're just a weird, salesperson in some people's eyes that are trying to take everyone's phone. But that's not what we're trying to do. but that's kind of the impression until they kind of get to know us as an organization. And the same thing with, it's not just a school thing. If the admin's just talking about it, okay, you might get some people that kind of perk up and listen. But we know, and we've seen this, see the results with our schools too, those that have strong family leads that kind of take the initiative, that really express like why this is important to them, those schools take off. And those schools really, we do see those massive transformations in the school community. So encouraging others to sign the pledge, sharing the Smart Families information, we'll get into that too. Building a Smart Families team, it's not a lot of work. It's just finding good, like-minded families to help share the load and the burden to make your jobs a lot easier. And then just be attending Smart Families events, kind of the ones that I mentioned previously, and organizing different social events. And we'll get into what all those things entail shortly. And so you'll see this, and you'll hear about it after all of our parent family events. You'll see it as you're driving to drop your kids off for pickup or pickup or drop off. You'll see our signs standing out front of the schools. You'll see the QR pledge. So this is the pledge to sign to delay giving your kid a smartphone to at least high school. Now, if you haven't signed the pledge yet, this is where, ironically, you can take out your smartphones and scan the QR code on your screen and fill it out. But this is the way that we really make the biggest impact. We know it's a massive battle. We know there are billions and billions of dollars being poured into this. By standing with each other, we can make the change. We can help our kids grow as they ought to. So this is one thing that one avenue we want to stress a lot, because this is the biggest way that we know that, hey, we can do this. As Brian mentioned earlier, this is at St. Vincent de Paul. Like right now, it may seem that if you're year one school, everyone in middle school has it. But we see in just this short period of time, the reverse is true. And this is because we have families that are really taking this seriously and trying to promote this. And so,
Dean, I just want to share my 2 cents on the pledge. Again, my name is Hillary. As a family lead, if you have an event or you're talking to a friend or you're sharing, some information by text, I just want everybody to understand, when you sign the Smart Families Pledge, your information remains confidential. We will not be sharing it. So if you have a parent who comes up to you, which is, I will say, the only thing that we do sometimes see is, I believe in everything you have to say. I totally agree. I'm actually not going to give my kid a smartphone until 8th grade or after 8th grade. This is great. I read Anxious Generation. I'm all in, but I'm just not comfortable signing something, what's the big deal? I want you to feel equipped to say, Smart Families will not share this information. And by joining in the community, it really will help others feel like they're not alone. And we have had certain situations, though, where I do want individuals to understand, where if a principal has a certain situation or a counselor in a particular grade, we can work with them and utilize the individuals who have signed the pledge in a confidential way, in a very beautiful way, to help them understand that, okay, this child is not the only one in 8th grade or in 7th grade. But in any event, you sign the pledge, you get an email with a PDF certificate. You can print it, put it on your fridge, remind your kids, this is what we've done, and let it sit there for as long as you'd like it to.
Yes, and as Hillary has mentioned before, like that's such a good tool for you guys too, is if you have it on your fridge and your kid comes up and says, hey, when am I getting a smartphone? And you just point right to the certificate and said, sorry, kid, I signed the pledge. It's not happening until at least high school. So it's helping send that message loud and clear. What goes on your fridge, it's usually something that you value as a family, whether it's your kid's artwork that they come home from school, or it's just something that you want to kind of commit to show that it has a place of prominence and something that you're really committed to do. And so I think it's such a great tool for families to use as well. Ways that y'all can share this, I mean, you can do this right now too, is just creating a phone tree, or even utilizing your group chats that you have at the school, whether that's either by grade level or through the school grade chats. These are great ways that this can happen. When we were just starting, I've seen this in action actually at one of our schools in Houston, St. John Paul II, where we got together, and this is probably the largest Catholic school that we have in Houston, with about 700 students. And so they took it upon themselves trying to discuss how can we make this mission get it across to people as much as possible. There'll be the same people that show up to the same events. They want to make sure, how do we reach the people that aren't coming, that don't know about this? And so they took it upon themselves to just text 5 people. I'm gonna text 5 different people, and we'll make sure we're not texting the same people. And that's essentially the phone tree. And those pledge numbers just shot up very quickly that day. And so it works, right? And so you can share a message about why you signed the pledge, and with the pledge link, which would just be like smart-families.org/smartpledge. It's also on our website. You can just click it and go, or if one of the team wants to share it in the chat as well, you guys can share it right now if you wanted to. We also have template messages. We've one of our schools, St. Cecilia's, one of their grade level parents created a very beautiful message about why she signed the pledge, why we all need to kind of work together making this the norm. And that helped boost those numbers as well. And so we have that template available. If y'all would like a copy of that, you can either email your coordinator. If you don't know who that is, I'll have my email address at the end so we can connect you with your implementation coordinator. A really important way is just talking about the pledge. Maybe you're at a sporting event with your kid and just talking with other dads that are there, or other moms, whatever it may be. Share your story with them. Share why, who has signed the pledge and why it's important to you. And we have pledge cards. We have one thing I think that works very well. Some people just get really QR code, either anxiety, or they see it, they scan it, and they're like, oh, I'll fill this out later, and they never do. We also have, what's really worked is just pen and paper, and I have templates for those too that we can give to family leads to kind of sit back at an event and just have people just write down their name, their kid's grade, and their email address, and we'll manually type their names in and sign the pledge for them, and we'll make sure they get that certificate as well. There are a lot of different things that we can do. One thing that we love to do is just doing like a little pledge push week, or kind of a pledge giveaway. So there might be an event that we have for those, and to make it kind of fun and exciting, because initially there can be kind of just hesitancy. They don't know us as an organization. They want to check us out a little bit. But to help kind of lower the guard, to make it exciting, we might sponsor like a giveaway for $100 Visa card for those that sign the pledge. One school that we're going to do is like a pledge week, so they make it fun for the students, so it's not as kind of like awkward when you don't feel that pressure, or maybe that isolation from not having the phone. So having it so the grade level that has the highest percentage of students that sign the pledge gets a pizza party, but if the whole school hits a certain percentage, then everyone will get one. So that's one that we're going to do in a couple weeks here at St. Edward's in spring. So these are really good ways to kind of help bolster this, to help make it kind of fun and exciting for your community. And not to overwhelm, we love to get a little competitive here at Smart Families too, just to have some friendly competition. I joke around with everybody. I would love to see other schools just like knock down St. Vincent de Paul, because they just, they were the first ones, but I would like to see others just kind of go past them in terms of the pledges. And this is not something to overwhelm anybody. This is to show that it's possible. And you see most of these schools are year 3 schools. This is why it takes several years to get that point. But it's very possible to see this change at your school. This is very attainable. Even if you have a large school, a small school, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're starting off at a school that maybe you have a high percentage of families that already have a phone. Maybe we work with schools that have first graders walking around with smartphones. It's empowering that community one step at a time, meeting them where they're at, and helping them to get to where to make this a reality. I know, Hillary, you want to add in something here? You're more than welcome.
Yeah. So just for anybody who is looking at this, a lot of the schools that are listed on this list are in their 3rd or 2nd year of the program. So it does take time to build, but you will learn who your implementation coordinator is. And if you're in a year 1 school, you can start tracking those numbers by asking, okay, where are we at? How are things doing? And it's a really nice speaking tool. It's really amazing when you're a parent at a school or a family lead to be able to say, hey, we're at 20%. And you can utilize that as a way to we really need to get some more parents involved. Or you can turn around and be like, gosh, we're already at 40%, how amazing. I know we can do more, but it was incredible to see only in the last like 3 months, we got 40% of our school to sign the pledge. So we can share the percentages with y'all, and you can utilize that in your conversations. I found it to be a really fun way to kind of ignite, parents to get more involved.
And like I said, it could be that your school year one does really well. It could be that and we have a lot of schools that are just under that, this is just the top 10, right? We have many schools that are falling 30%, high 30%, mid 30%. So we have schools that are just going to take more time at, and that's okay, right? We at Smart Families are going to make this possible at your school, and we can do it. And so there are different types of information that we send out. We typically send out information to the principals about every week, every other week, and we'll add you onto that email so you at least know what's being communicated at your school. A lot of it might just be a little, here's this little snippet that we found about this new app that parents or a lot of kids are diving into, and just to help keep parents aware. We might be sending out information about our upcoming webinars, which we have one coming up in a couple of weeks in September, just to kind of put it in your mind too. We have newsletters. So we have our Be Smarts. They come out once a quarter. And if you're in a faith-based school, we also have a faith-based newsletter called Be Not Afraid that also goes out once a quarter as well. And so those are kind of newsletters that go through school communications. We'll have event flyers. So if you have either Dr. Hunt, Dr. Collier, or someone else coming to do those neuroscience talks, you should see like those event flyers. We make all the flyers ourselves. We share them. If you want to create an event, we'll talk more about what those events are as well, but we'll create those flyers for you. We want to make this super simple for everybody. And so those might be things. And we know that, school communications can look either really great or really sloppy too. And so it might be that we have our flyer and it's in between this event, and this event. And a lot of people are just kind of skimming through, maybe looking for information about their kid's class. So a lot of our stuff can be easily missed. This is why it's very important for a family lead just to share like event flyers, just sharing. We post a new newsletter, and it might just be a quick message to the group chat and say, hey, Smart Families just dropped this flyer. Have you checked it out yet? And posting the link right in the, whatever GroupMe or whatever messaging app that schools are using. And so it is a very easy way to kind of share those information. And you can share we also include, our emails are very, very set up, very, very organized, very well. You just copy and paste different things out of there. We have our social media images, social media text. You're more than welcome to actually share that in the middle, or once you see those emails, you can share them on your own personal ones. You can share them in the group chats. You just text your friends. And we've had some schools that actually, I've had parent leads request, either we have an event or a giveaway. They want some physical hard copy flyers, and they wanted to go hand them out car to car during the car line. I've had families do that. We've had families that would say, hey, can we get a bunch of event flyers? That way we can put them in the school, like student folders when they go home with the parents. And that way, when the parents open up their classroom folders, the flyer's right there for them too. So those are just a couple ways that we can share that information and make that communication just kind of hit multiple touch points. And now building your team, and it's not very hard. As Brian kind of alluded to, it's just finding families that are very passionate, and you might be surprised, and it's kind of fun to see who's kind of like, oh, wait, you feel this way too. A good place to start, I mean, it could just be seeing who's at your Smart Families events. So what I've noticed too, going to different events, whether it be, the first neuroscience talk, and then I'll see the same faces at, the family code, and then I'll see them the following year at, the parent talk at the next one. The people that are there are going to keep showing up, and new people will arise too and check out what we have to say. And so seeing who's attending these Smart Families events, that's a good way to start looking at, like, okay, maybe they'd be interested in helping this out, whether that's just, they have a son or a daughter that's in pre-K and third grade. Maybe they'd be great to share out that information for those 2 grade levels. You can also just ask your principal, right? Who do you know that might be interested in this, that can kind of just really easily, maybe they are passionate about it, but don't have a lot of bandwidth to do much more. Those people are great. Just like, hey, can you just forward this on in a grade level chat? That's a pretty simple ask. And it's just a good way to kind of help do this. You can host little socials too to kind of, empower one another too. This is kind of how it started at St. Vincent de Paul. They built a little bit of a team. They wanted to see to have all the grade levels either just covered, or if you had one parent that could cover this grade and this grade, and another parent covered this one, they brought them together at their house, fed them pizza, talking about ways and different strategies that can kind of get this information out. And we want to see that happen too, and just keeping it simple little ways to kind of build and support your team. Whether it's just hosting pizza, we can sponsor that as well. We can sponsor that for reimbursement to help make this happen for you as well. A great way to do this too, just to keep organized, and it's just keep a good group email list. And I would say another benefit of this is for two different reasons, right? Your kids are eventually going to get older. Eventually you're going to leave the elementary, middle school, and start looking at high school. By having a good coherent team that spans across multiple grade levels, you're guaranteed that someone's going to help take up the reins of this once you're gone, right? Or just having multiple people kind of there, kind of make sure that information continues to get spread. The other benefit too, having a good team, and I will say this too, sometimes principals leave, and I will say without like a strong family lead, it's really hard to kind of build up that momentum again, because we're kind of starting off with square one with a new principal who's honestly his job is trying to just navigate this new school community. How are things functioning? And it's a lot of information overload for them at that first year. So it takes a lot of momentum to really try to build it back up. But a good family lead that's just like, hey, we'll schedule these events, or we'll work with the admin to see what we can do. We can promote these things, so it's less off that new principal's plate. If you have strong family leads or a good team, we see these schools thrive in those periods of transition at their school. Now, as I mentioned before, we have our key events. We have our parent event. We have our family events. These are all organized by smart families, and just attending, showing your support, inviting other people. These are good ways that we can kind of help grow and develop, make sure people get the information that's needed, that's being presented. We can also have lead family social events. We'll go into more details of what those are, but it doesn't have to be something that's out of the box, right? We can do something that's already happening on school campus, and that's what a lot of we want to do. We don't want to make things complicated, but even if we can do extra stuff, and we'll get into some of the extra stuff that we can do, but some of it's just being present at your school community, looking what's happening on your campus. Maybe it's having a table at the back to school night, just saying a couple of words, maybe it's just speaking in front of everybody, playing our video that I played at the beginning of our presentation. That's actually found on the homepage of our website. So that's free for you guys to all share and to kind of share with one another, or even with your school. And there are many things, father-daughter dances, there could be school, parish festivals, sporting events, connecting with the PTO, just looking at your school's calendar, finding out what's going on. This is a good way to actually engage with the community, with maybe people that aren't normally at other things. Maybe they're not interested in hearing a parent talk, but they're definitely interested in their son or daughter's basketball game or their basketball tournament. Like, they'll be there for that. So that might be that touch point. I also want to give this over to Hillary, because she's really good at explaining this wonderful photo and just some of these activities.
So this was father-daughter dance at my children's school, actually. And this is just a really sweet example of how we try to incorporate our mission into the community. And so we sponsored, Smart Families sponsored one of those like 360 dancing type photo booths. We had signs that said, put your phone down, be present. And so the concept is that, you don't need to use your phone to take pictures. We have this amazing photo booth that's going to do it for you. So dad should be present and paying attention and engaging with fellow dads as well, not even just their children. And so I've left the name of this exact website, or this company that we used. It was Fun IN 360. We asked them to put our Smart Families logo on the bottom of it. And now any kiddo that night who went into this photo booth, 360 photo booth, as you can imagine, There were a lot of them. Every parent got a text message with a link to watch the video, and then our logo was on each of those images. And so that's just one example. You can be super creative. A question came up this morning when we shared this. How this works is talk to your implementation coordinator about any ideas that you have. Figure out what the costs are going to be. Let's just make sure it makes sense and it aligns with our mission. And then we will either pay the vendor directly, or you can pay and submit a receipt to your implementation coordinator for reimbursement. And so anyway, just be creative. If the school is already bringing people together, you put your Smart Families hat on and you figure out how you can get in there, because it's really hard to add more to these school calendars. And so we love being where they already at. We're going to saturate that community with Smart Families individuals. So just a fun example.
And yeah, and again, there's other ways that we can do this too, making sure we're kind of on point, at least it makes sense with our mission. So, but you know your community better than we do. And that's the advantage of, working with families that are on these school campuses. You know where all the parents are going to be at, whether that, for example, we had one school that had a breakfast with Santa that was very well attended by all the school community. And so what we came up with is the family was going to run like a little booth, and they had little wooden Christmas ornaments that the kids could come by and decorate. And we had a little like pledge, Visa card giveaway. But as the kids were working and creating their fun, ornaments, we had the family lead just engaging with other parents, talking why this is important, why we should be doing this. And that school was able to get half that school to sign the pledge that day and just work together and finding these things to happen. It might be that we have a homecoming, and we've done homecoming booths where we have like Frisbees that kids can kind of paint on or draw on and just kind of make their own Frisbee. And and again, having that activity allows parents to kind of, they're watching their kids kind of go through this. It's a good way that we can engage with them too, and just have a more like meaningful conversation that they're not feeling rushed to, since their kids are kind of busy and doing really fun things for themselves. And then, as I mentioned before, we can make our own events too. And these events are really amazing because it could just be social events, but they all have a purpose. They have a reason behind what we're trying to do. And so at St. Vincent de Paul, we did grade level gatherings, right? So that was Brian and Jennifer getting together by grade level. And that was they had a meeting before school, I believe maybe probably after school for the drop off, just many different touch points for these different grade levels. And they brought coffee, they brought pastries for breakfast, and just to kind of talk about this issue, talk about why it's important, push the pledge. And that's where they saw a great number, just, having that family, on the boots on the ground, just speaking with other people about why it's important to them. That was the main reason why many people joined in. It wasn't the talks. It was just like-minded families going through the same school community that really helped tackle it together. And so we can do things, if you want to host a grade level gathering, just an event per grade level, you can push the pledge, you can tackle issues, you can request a Smart Family speaker, that either if you have a coordinator that's in your area, or we can kind of stream somebody in as well. It can be hosted at school, at your house, many different ways that we can go about doing this. The flyer to your right, it was one done at St. Michael's down in Houston. And so they just had, again, this is kind of an example of, they have two sponsored ones. This was at Elite Family's house. And, having the first one is about social media. The second one is going to be about boys and kind of video games and ways that parents can tackle these issues, and giving them relevant information that's actually helpful for them. One school, I remember we met at a family's house to talk about just ways they can help families stay disconnected from tech over the summer and really focus on family time and not be bogged down by the constant allure of screens, video games, the like. When we talk about social events, again, it can be by grade, but it can be for the whole community too. We've had lead families that kind of organize an event. Maybe it's bowling, for example, where they make it a screenless night. So they collect all the phones. We help sponsor some of that cost, and they're able to kind of disconnect from tech to reconnect to their community as a family. And that's just one of the beautiful ways that we can kind of help support things. There's other ideas that we've done. Like as mentioned, we work in high schools too. So we had one event where it was bring your own board game night for high school students. So we put all of these phones in the bins. They brought their board games. We brought them food so they had something to eat. And it was just a great way for these kids to just kind of reconnect with each other and not be bogged down by all these distractions. And I've heard some very positive feedback from parents too, saying how much their kids really loved and appreciated that opportunity to really just get to know one another. But these are great ways just to push the pledge or to discuss issues. Yes, go ahead.
I just want to share. So as we mentioned in the beginning, every school will be getting a keynote presentation to the parents. It's either that neuroscience for year 1, executive functioning for year 2, and or year 3, you're going to be looking at that AI misinformation presentation. What's the most amazing thing, if you can think ahead or look at your calendar or contact your coordinator after this, we found after that presentation, you will find those parents standing there who are like, oh my gosh, I need to be involved. This is absolutely amazing. I love what I just heard. And that is the best time to turn around and say, great, we're actually going to be hosting coffee next week. It's right over at the school, super casual. Drop off your kids at 8 a.m., have donuts and coffee or fruit and coffee. Keep it super simple. But if you can think a little bit in advance and figure out what your school's calendar is, I'll tell you that's exactly what keeps those conversations going when they're really fired up after just hearing some really interesting information about the children's brain, about executive functioning, and whatever their topic might be. So just putting that out there. If you can make it happen, keep it simple, shoot for that schedule, and we'll work with you on that. We're happy to help make that happen.
And likewise, so we were able to kind of help guide those conversations, what we're able to kind of, what we can sponsor, what might be effective, finding like the right location for something, having a restaurant that has like a playground, for example, so that way the kids can go play while the parents can go talk. There are many ways, or just having it simply at the school is another great way of doing that. So. Other ideas that you can do, just having a simple book study, right? The anxious generation, in a lot of ways, is really put this issue, I would say, really on everyone's radar. At least it's kind of brought it to more of the mainstream. There are many people that approach me saying, "I've just read about this book," or "I've seen this," or the Jonathan Haidt speak on TV. We're actually, if you look on the Ancient Generations website, we're actually an allied organization. We've connected with their research team. We're totally aligned with what they're saying too. So if you wanted to, and then we also have the Neuro Whereabouts Guide. So if you have Dr. Collier coming to speak to your school, we actually offer her book on our website for the publisher's discount. So if you go under information on our website, smart-families.org, go to information, you'll see a tab that says Neuro Whereabouts Guide. That's where actually we will find the book offered at her publisher's discount. And the other thing too is if you miss the neuroscience talk or you have families that approach you, it's like, oh, was there a recording of this? We actually have Dr. Collier's talk from one of our schools that first year on there. So you're more than welcome to watch it as a refresher, or you weren't able to make the talk, or if you're knowing that parents are, hey, where can I learn more about this? This is a good tool that you can share. There's the Opt-Out Family, Screen Time is Dessert. These are all different books. I know Hillary will talk more about a couple of them.
If you're interested in a book study, it probably sounds like a lot, and I get that. We will work with you. This is not something you have to do on your own. We'll provide a guide. There are some schools who have said, nope, I got this. I want to do this. I'm all in. I read the book. I think it's amazing, whatever book it might be. And we do have Screen Time as a Dessert is a local therapist in Houston who will come out and speak as well. So if you're in the Houston area, please let us know if that's something of interest to you.
And then again, we have our upcoming first webinar of the school year. And so that'll be on September 15th with 3 different opportunities to join and kind of listen in. And this can just be a simple watch party or gathering friends to kind of watch the talks together and actually talk about it as a community after it ends. talk about what stood out, or if you want some more guided discussion questions, we can also provide you guys with that too. As I mentioned, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can work together to help make something that's very easy and very accessible for all of you. And so if you want to check out our events, you can go to smart-families.org/events. You can see our upcoming webinars that are already listed, I think all the way up through either October or November. We have a bunch of them listed already. So you're more than welcome to kind of hop in there preemptively, RSVP, and share those links with others as well. And before we kind of close off, I wanted to kind of, let you know that this is extremely possible for you to do this. You don't have to be a neuroscientist. You don't have to understand the full complexities of the brain or understanding maybe the ins and outs of maybe how these apps are engineered to be addictive. That's why we're here, right? You don't have to have all the answers. We know that you're busy. We know that you're busy with, dropping your kid off at school, heading off to work, maybe doing, trying to get food on the table for dinner and everything else, driving someone to the sporting event or some after school activity. It's hard to keep up with the latest research or having all these things. That's why Smart Families is here for you. We want to make ourselves very accessible. So if you ever have a question or you're talking with somebody at your school that just brings up an objection or something, or maybe you're seeing something, it's like, I'm seeing a lot about this app. Do you know anything about this? Or maybe I'm hearing a lot about parents and they're struggling with X, Y, or Z. We can provide those resources for you, right? You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to be a scientist. You just need to remember why this is important to you and to share that with others, right? We have all grown up in a childhood that was, we didn't have smartphones, right? For me, it was, going on a Friday night to Blockbuster with my family to go pick up a movie and then maybe stop at Pizza Hut on the way home when they still had the salad bars. It might have been just going out for, having a neighborhood kickball game with a bunch of kids in the neighborhood, or just making up our own games. But if we look around today, like, it's very clear, like, kids are missing out on what that wasn't that far ago, right? Blockbuster, there's only one left in Oregon. Pizza Hut's doing its own thing, but I don't see many kids just outside playing as we once did growing up. When we think about like those happy memories that we have, we want our kids to experience these things. We want our kids to have the joys and these happy memories, and our grandkids, right? We know our kids are kind of struggling and they're suffering with a lot of this technology, but we can help make the change. We can give them a childhood and help them to grow and develop as they ought to, without all the noise, without all the distractions, without all the drama that a lot of the smart devices bring to the table, right? It's very possible to do this. And so I want to kind of give you your first unofficial task. If you sign the pledge or whatever, you haven't, do that for sure. But you can even share. Well, I think Hillary will post this in the chat too, so you're more than welcome. Post this if you have social media. If you have it, if you don't have social media, great. Post it in your grade level chat. Text it to a friend. Like, here's the image. We have 2 different images. You could pick which one's your favorite. And just here's a template, like just talking about why this is important to you, to share and kind of promote this even on your own personal social media page, right? It's just one way that we can just be bold together as a community and help making this strong stance. We know the current is strong with big tech pushing billions of dollars against this, right? So it's going to take a bold response back and just being proud to say, you know what, we're going to wait. We're going to delay. We want our kids to kind of grow as they ought to. So if Hillary, if you've shared that already, we can.
Yes, I did. I shared the text for it. I'm trying to figure out how to share the image. I'm sorry, I don't know why I can't seem to figure it out on my link here. I do want to wrap up with 2 things that came up earlier this morning, and I know can come up in conversation. One is we really want to clarify, again, when you look at the pledge, we are pledging smartphones. And again, I'm a mother of 3. My children it's called, we're trying to think of a better name. I think dumb phone is one thing that we've heard. My children have a phone that does not have internet access, and it's an amazing tool. My other daughter has a watch they can text and they can call. And so just to express that, if that comes up in conversation, please share that as an alternate option for parents. It's a beautiful way for children to learn how to call and how to text without all of the other apps that come along with the internet. And if I can just figure out how to add this image to my chat box, you all can put this on your social media pages. I think most importantly, Dean, if you want to share your email address, find out who your implementation coordinator here, he just put it up, reach out, connect with them. We're here to help, as we've said, millions of times, but it's going to take all of us coming together to really make a change.
Yes. And so, yes, you're more than welcome to email me. If you don't know who your implementation coordinator is, just email me and I'll actually CC you with the coordinator's email, all that needs to be. And I want to also kind of re-echo about like the basic call and text only phones. We're not anti-tech, right? We just really want to give back our kids the opportunity to grow and develop as they ought to. And so we've all grown up with phones in one way, shape, or form. And just when I was talking too much on the phone, mom and dad would just go click. You have things to do, go get your homework done, go move on. And so it is a tool. And this is when your kids get older, they're going to start looking at their peers to kind of help grow and support, looking at each other. And so, yes, we know it's a great tool. We're meant to be in community. We're meant to have friendships. And so it's just something to remind, like, this is another alternative. We actually recommend getting one that can kind of serve as a family landline. You leave that dumb phone or the basic phone, you leave it plugged into the kitchen counter. If your kid has to go away on an overnight trip, they can take it with them. But when they come back, it goes right back on that charger. But it's also that you have that transparency. It stays in there. It doesn't go in someone's bedroom. All eyes are on it. You're seeing who's calling. You're seeing who's texting. And it's a great tool and resource to do that. So I want to kind of close up here and just kind of any questions that y'all may have. I know you probably had some during the talk, but if anyone wants to, either you can add it into the chat here, or if you want to just unmute yourself at this time, and if you want to ask a question, yeah, you're more than welcome to.
I guess I got a question about available phone options or dumb phones, right? It doesn't seem like there are many options available, right? I mean, I actually bought a flip phone, and then it turned out that the flip phone had the the kids could actually do hotspot with it, and then they found out how to do it, and then it kind of lost purpose, right? And so then I found a Nokia over on Amazon, but then the darn thing doesn't really work very well. The SIM card doesn't hook up very well, and you lose connection. And so, kind of like a reliable dumb phone, right? I think that it's something that I've been looking for, So I don't know if you all could provide some help out with some alternatives, right? That could also facilitate that to the parents, as an example.
Yeah, someone just put the tin can phone. It's a kind of a alternative landline phone that's becoming increasingly popular. We're hearing more about it on our end too, from other families that are utilizing it. If someone wants to kind of hop in the website link.
Yeah, I will say I heard great things about the tin can phone. Total different concept though. That's going to be an at-home phone, and you want to find, your son or daughter's friend who has it. It is doing incredibly well. That I think the earliest you can get a phone at the moment is like December. They're selling and they're sold out at the moment. So if that's something you want, get those orders in. In regards to an actual phone that you can move with your child, my daughters do a lot of sports. That's a really common thing that you want to be able to get a hold of them if pickup has changed. We use the Gab phone here personally. They have a Gab watch, and then they have two different versions of the Gab phone. We've been incredibly happy with the service, with the device, with the technology and the offerings that it has. One is a very basic phone. One is a little bit more advanced, where you can add some safe music, what they deem safe and clean. You can add a few things like maps. and some other like pre-approved apps, but I've been very happy with the Gab brand, Gabb, Gab phones. Those have been wonderful in our family. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's definitely the Gap phone is a good option. I know even at Verizon, a lot of your carriers will have them, but you need to, they might have a flip phone, but it's not, as you mentioned, they have hotspots or they have internet capabilities or even social media. You'd have to look and see options like you have to go up to them and say, like, I want the basic call and text only. So those are things. There's the Wise phone by Techlist. That's a good option. It has some good parent controls on it. There is the light phone. They're becoming more increasingly popular especially as this becomes more mainstream in the sense of more of an issue on parents as they're getting older, realizing, hey, this isn't really a good thing. Bark has a phone. There's the Pinwheel phone. There are many options that are especially designed for kids, right? And it's not just my coworker kind of just messaged me letting me know that, it's not just like an old phone from like the 2000s or anything like that. This is a phone that's specifically manufactured, one, either for people looking to kind of simplify their lives and not with all the noise and distractions, or specifically engineered for kids to help them kind of stay focused and realize they're not diving into maybe the harmful side of, having internet access 24/7 a day. So it looks like my team is just gave really good links and things.
Yeah, we're just sending some links. Yeah.
Yes.
And Sarah, my colleague, she was able to share that social media image. So if you sign the pledge, I'm going to heart it right now so you can see it in the chat. So Sarah Hyman shared the image to put on social media. And then I shared some text that you can copy and paste. We would love to see that. You tag us. It's really wonderful when I go on our social media feed and we see 100+ schools posting our content. It really helps. One thing in regards to content, to clarify, we do not email schools directly. That is the responsibility and obviously privacy issues for the principal. So why it's so important for y'all to share our information is that we will only email a subscriber, or we will send this information to our principals, and then they have the opportunity to share it with their schools. And then now we'll also be sending it to family leads. So, we love anything that you can share through these chat groups and, WhatsApp, GroupMe, your text messaging and social media. It's very helpful.
Awesome. Any other questions? If not, you can always email me again, any questions, and or email your coordinator. We're more than happy to kind of talk things through or just hop on a call with y'all and just kind of help navigate that, because we do that for principals. We were more than happy to do it for family leads as well.
I just shared your email again, Dean.
Awesome.
Thank y'all for coming. We really, and yeah, we appreciate your time. We're really excited for the school year. We're going to see some big changes here. And so reach out. Let's get things going.